To observe is to alter, to define and understand is to alter drastically. The nature of the media is so insubstantial and simultaneous that to isolate the many into one single medium is to lessen their effect. Can you perceive the subtle effect of the medium as it happens? Can you talk about the experience? But if I try to clarify these effects with you, I draw your attention towards myself, my world, and away from your perception. Agree with my conclusions, and I have drawn you into the complicity. As consenting adults, you have become my accomplices. In the past, news came slowly. The effects of the changing world on the individual were held off by time. There was a kind of buffer zone between him and the outside. Yet today, there's no such time cushion. We live in a shrunken world of all at onceness. Imagine you're blind. All things become sudden. Because of the lack of one of the senses to cushion you from it, shock enters frequently into your experience. In the crossing of a room, obstacles manifest themselves suddenly. Sight is the balancing sense that reduces shock. Due to the speed of the media, we have no balance or base for our minds to rest upon, so that we can absorb, or at least lessen, the blows showered upon us. Satiated and uncomfortable with speedily served indigestible information. Fads change rapidly, and with it our growing superficiality. Continuity and slickness are now in favour. Day after day the same newscaster confers a sort of blandness on the news. We are shown the Queen visiting a flower show, followed by a third world atrocity, and our opinions become internally moulded by the way the sequence is edited. A painless operation. News is reported, and what isn't reported isn't news. Watergate, USA, didn't exist until the mass suicide there. The media collects and perfects society's neurosis. If questions are raised, they no longer require answers. They stand alone as statements. We no longer seem to consider black and white solutions.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life.
Mid-20th century thought, aided and abetted by the media, offers a cup of café au lait compromise. Just because you can ask a question does not mean to say there's an answer. linear paths in sequential order. So we can organize our specialists into elaborate social machines which control our environment and govern millions of people. History has become the small print in our daily papers. Read left to right, a line at a time from top to bottom, culminating causally with the situation at the moment. If, aided by the media, we rethink history to fit the present moment, it makes us feel safe and secure. The idea that historical events represent progress by the mere passing of years was, and is, an abstract principle for organizing our understanding of the incredibly complicated and incomplete record of human activity. Events laid out in straight lines lead the eye and the ear straight to a desired conclusion. Many people think that this and other ideas culminate in reality, when in fact only reality is real. Until Freud told us our dreams were symbolical and worth translation, they were seen as unreal. Now our dreams are real, but separate from our waking experiences. In the same way, on this little screen, are self-contained environments, each with its own time and space, but having little correspondence with other realities. We temporarily pass from one world to another. The experience consumes our perceptions. The clock ceases to tick. The room empties. Children have experienced death, war, walking on the moon, breaking the sound barrier through 1,000 vicarious life roles before the age of 10.
Everyone's a fruit and a nutcase.
And so to our realities, perceived with senses trained by various mediums. Judgments of good and bad, using our media values. Our memories have become weakened by the supplementation as we lean on our ephemeral crutches.
Cadbury's fruit and nut. Don't you think commercials are getting better?
The perfect image supplants the original. Parents with beautiful children pore over their photographs. Only when we have photographed the famous building are we sure that we were really there. Perhaps an ecology of the psyche could culminate in ecology of the environment. We might speculate that the bombardment of the senses by the media may lead us to withdraw and look inwards to ask,
who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
Yes.
If with our media judgment we become bored with and critical of bad acting, writing and production, because we have become artistically sensitive, all well and good.
Probably master late, by the time I'd finished with him.
However, if we turn our finely tuned judgment to our loved ones and make comparisons with their standardized surrogates in the media, who we are to emulate, it leads to unhappy disillusionment. The media image of slender, standardized, fashionable women bears no relation to the shape of real women. Yet we have become so gullible and insecure that we can almost kill ourselves, remembering anorexia, for 45 seconds of imitative utopia. Clearly, the standardization of our values is not a good thing. The lowest common denominator is a mechanism that works well in maths, but works poorly in social relations. So, advertisements have gained a life of their own, giving us more pleasure than the product itself. If we already own the product, we feel that we belong by a consensus of choice. Our choice of house, clothes, cars, and so on reflect those advertising worlds. And yet, something doesn't quite match up. The old function of communication was to transfer information of knowledge from one set of individuals to another, usually by physical means. Now, this process has transformed its purpose and method. The viewer receiver is transported. We are delivered to the scene of the incident, yet we are phantom voyeurs. We can't help the crash victims or the man about to be murdered. It is useless to shout, "Look out!" The recognition of the instantaneous mass media is like opening a door and apprehending a ghostly apparition. The media has presented happenings in an inarguable way to us, the captive audience. And yet, we participate in massive group consent, not to contradict or refuse to refuse the status quo. As a generation that is post-photographic, post-filmic, post-radiophonic, post-war, post-almost anything, we have inherited completely redundant models of ways of coping with our daily life.
No, honestly, it just means nothing to say post-radiophonic. I mean, so, what do you mean post-radiophonic? The whole structure of our society, our crappy society, is based on radiophony.
I'm
bloody huge great
not
cacophony
saying
of
that radio is redundant. What I'm saying is that the height of the radio boom is past. It may revive.
Not at all. You just twiddle the dial, man. It's running the show.
Our natural defense to this invasion is predictably catatonic. We find ourselves almost unable to confront many of our problems without the help of the specialist, and thus cannot see that this is a major symptom of the problem itself. The nature of the problem is so vast that when we can pluck up the courage to look, we are like flies on the wall, unable to see things as a whole. The problem is how to come to terms with the fact that the media has increased and is still increasing the pace of our lives. History shows us centuries of a gradual flow of change. But now life is at the center of a whirlpool. The only permanent thing about life is change. It is easy to be consumed by the age-old fear of the unknown. Fear of fear.
That the media, albeit unconsciously, will continue to present us with our unanswered problems, offers us hope.
BBC found long ago that if you allow the film to run for a while before slopping in the titles, you can hook your audience, who by then would not change programs or switch off. Beware of this technique.